Hey everyone, so this pick a card reading, or in this case, you're going to be selecting a crystal from a selection of 3 different clear quartz crystals. We're going to be diving into what significant themes are wrapping up this year. And these are timeless divination sessions. So keep in mind, it doesn't matter if you're seeing this 5 years from the date that I actually posted this and recorded this. This will find you when it's relevant for you, essentially. So just really quick, what are themes? What do I mean by that? These could be significant karmic kind of undoings or karmic patterns, whether that's, our relationships, whether that's a job, whether that is a certain cycle that we've been trying to break free from or trying to get out of, whatever it is, what significant themes are wrapping up and making space for new, right? Making space for new growth. And again, remembering that our journey here is cyclical. So these themes, they just might have ran themselves to a significant place to where they're not as dominant within your reality. So you might still feel chords of this as you solidify into a new, brighter, more relevant paradigm for you. But these readings are meant to be signifying what is no longer going to be a block for you to move forward or to make the appointments you're supposed to, or that you want to, or to start the projects, go on that trip, whatever it is, right? So that's my intention. And yeah, we're going to get right into it together. So you have 3 crystals to choose from today. Whenever you're feeling ready, we're going to get right into your divination session. What's up, group number 1? Here is your reading for what themes are ending this year. So right away, I'm seeing that there has been a significant challenge, or this is the human experience, right? A significant challenge or series of challenges leading up to, this new year that we're going into that finally feels like you are breaking free from. And so in this case, they might have been challenges that made you feel like a victim to some extent. And there's nothing wrong. I feel like we kind of shame that word, or we shame that experience of feeling like a victim. But sometimes we could truly be a victim of someone's hate crime, or someone's jealousy, or someone's, mistreatment, or of someone's own karma, right? Of their own shadow, I should say. So this is not in any way to shame you or anything, right? Maybe you went through a significant activation where at one point it felt like your actions were really justified and you felt like the world was against you, but now it seems like you are healed, that you have done enough time reflecting on those experiences, reflecting on what that was here to teach you, to the point where you're ready to move on from it. I'm hearing that it seems like it was like a past lifetime. Like when you look back on it, there might be even a little bit of cringiness to your behavior, or there might even be like a sense of judgment, right? And you don't have to bring that judgment with you, right? Again, it's part of the human experience. I say this often, if you're not looking back at past versions of yourself or past pictures or past videos, and don't get me wrong, sometimes I look back and I'm like, dang, I look bomb, or like I'm so tapped in, I'm so tuned in. But sometimes too, we can look back and kind of cringe a little bit at the past versions of ourselves we have been. And that's a sign of growth, right? That's a sign that you have evolved and that you have expanded in some way. Your levels of awareness, the way you conduct yourself, how you view the lens through which you view this reality and the people in it, etc. So it seems like, something that is tying up, that whatever you've been waiting for to take off in terms of career or a new project or a new venture in general, it seems like you've been waiting, right? That this has been a year of waiting, or maybe it's been like years of waiting, right? And you have been waiting for important information or for new pieces, the puzzle pieces to make themselves known, to make themselves aware. Like, what do I do? How do I act on this vision, this dream, that I'm getting right now? So ultimately, I'm hearing that, this challenge and this energy that you were in terms of healing and seeing the components that, made up this challenge and seeing how it was meant to shape you, I feel like there definitely feels like a space between that version and you know, whatever it was that you had undergone leading up to this point, and you know where you are now. It's like you're ready to bury it. You're ready to leave it in the dirt. You're ready to, you know, not necessarily bypass it because you're embarrassed or whatever, you know, whatever happened, you're still angry, whatever, you know. It's not like you're trying to bypass, but it's like it seems like you have extracted the nutrients from whatever those challenges were here to shape you into. And I'm hearing a significant amount of that it was having compassion, is learning how to have true compassion for yourself and the journey, the human experience, the hero's journey. It's not always going to be an uphill. It's not always going to be brighter and brighter. Sometimes when we're feeling the most intuitive and we're feeling the most on in our life, right, the most activated, just the most powerful, you know, sometimes those can also be the periods where we make decisions, or we do like we make a decision out of impulse, or we say something out of impulse that at the time might seem very valid, but looking back, we might not decide to carry ourselves in a similar way. Or, you know, we can be at high heights, essentially, is what I'm trying to say, and, you know, be humbled extremely quickly. You know, just because we're experiencing ourselves activated at new levels, you know, when you're getting ready to solidify into a paradigm, oftentimes we are met with all of those aspects of self and our beliefs, our assumptions, just the way we carry ourselves, right? Our paradigms. We're met with all of those aspects. It's like we're met with it before we can actually solidify ourselves into that new reality, right? It's like a final purge. I often compare it to like a video game. Like I like the video game analogy because, you know, it meets the part of our brain that sees things as getting to the next level, right? Even if in the spiritual world things work a lot differently, and they oftentimes really do. It's more cyclical than it is, you know, I advanced to this new level, and so now I'm here permanently, right? So essentially, it's like you have done a lot of purging around this idea of, you know, how in control you are of your life. How much of this can I control? Am I really a creator? Can I actually create something that I'm proud of? You know, these challenges aren't meant to hold me down. These challenges weren't some sort of punishment, but no, I see how it was meant to shape me and ferment me and to kind of create this cocoon of darkness around me so that I can emerge even better. So it seems like you are in this period, or this past year has been a period of, it's probably felt really testy, or it's felt like you have been meeting, you know, parts of yourself that it has also been quite a challenge for you not to take the bait in terms of the negative self-talk, in terms of, you know, thinking that someone else did this thing to me and it's their fault, you know, whatever. And again, you might have had that experience of, you know, feeling angry at someone or at someone's behaviors and someone's actions or whatever. But ultimately, I feel like part of this theme and the lesson that you were here to extract, it seems like you did, because there's one more card here that I've been holding off that I haven't talked about yet. But it seems like you extracted the nutrients from that lesson, and you're about to shift, right? When we are climbing the ladder of density, and when we are in general purifying on the level of the psyche, purifying our subconscious, releasing karma, transmuting our karma into dharma, oftentimes before we make that final leap into a brighter paradigm, it's like we do this little two-step where we're kind of dancing between an old reality and a new one, old beliefs and new beliefs. And so it can almost feel like you're not really getting anywhere, but you are making more progress than you even realize. So it's like maybe you're taking 2 steps forward and only 1 step back. But that 1 step back, I feel like in the past might have, you know, don't think that 1 step back is in any way means that you're doing anything wrong, right? Because again, you're still, each time you don't take the bait of assuming this challenge is here to signify that you haven't actually changed, or it's, you know, becoming an obstacle, or an obstacle that you have to overcome, or a punishment. Don't take the bait, right? That's part of the 2-step between paradigms. And so it might even feel like it's getting really heavy right now, or it's gotten really heavy leading up to the moments before you make that final leap again. So you're not seeing these challenges as a way to convince yourself that as a way to convince yourself that you've done anything wrong. If anything, the more frequent these challenges become means that you are getting really close to making a final jump and a final purge, because we can reach this point of frustration where we're like, fuck it, I'm not taking the bait anymore. I've taken it so many times, right? I've backpedaled so many times, and I've made that mean something negative about me. Fuck it, I'm done with it, right? So spirit or life, whatever you want to say, will get us to this point of frustration right before we're making that final leap, where again, that's how karma is transmuted. That's how we essentially jump into a brighter timeline, or you could just say into a reality that feels much more reflective of the lightness and brightness and the unearthing that we've done up to that point in time. So this past year, it seems like you've really been kind of in a phase of just waiting, like, what's my next move? But again, I'm getting a sense of not really impatience. I feel like there's a part of you drawn to this video that kind of understood this needed to happen, where it's like you didn't want to make a move. You kind of saw how your tendencies of self-sabotage were coming up. And so I feel like whatever happened within this year, or the challenges that you've been facing, I feel like have really been here to point you to your tendencies of, what you do when you start to get some success, or what you do when you meet failure, right? It was meant to show you kind of these self-sabotage tendencies. And this doesn't always mean that it's happening on the level that anything is changing on the level of the external. But for you, I feel like for a majority of those drawn to this video, I feel like there have been significant external turmoils and tower moments that have occurred this past year in particular. And so it's like you've been waiting, right? But I do see, it says spring, see your seeds grow. So there's actually, this is great. This is beautiful. This is such a great indication of, what are these tower moments and these dark nights of the soul. Oftentimes there's a phenomenon that we can experience. This phenomenon is directly linked to, it's an aspect of why sages and yogis, very high level yogis and beings that had done a lot of purification, and so we're experiencing extended amounts of, bliss state or feeling that God experience, that true God experience. Oftentimes they would beg for suffering, right? Because that's the fertilization. That's what's going to fertilize the seeds. And so whatever challenges you've been experiencing and you've been undergoing, like, these have created the necessary fertilizer, right? This has created the necessary foundation. It's like you've loosened up. It's maybe there were some stagnant areas in your psyche, or maybe there were some stagnant areas just in your beliefs or the way you were carrying yourself that needed to be shaken up a little bit. And so oftentimes these challenges can come in order to do that. These challenges come in to kind of shake up our world and kind of loosen up the soil. In this case, just really milking this analogy for what it is. So I feel like, you've maybe been wanting to, you see yourself in a much different place, or you expect really great things for yourself within this incarnation. That's very clear, right? And so it's like spirit was just assisting you. You see what the major theme you're seeing is that these things that have happened, we're not here to punish you in any way, or to allow you or to invite you or want you to accept the invitation that you did something wrong or there's something wrong with you. Spirit was kind of doing what it needed to in order to trigger these chords, to trigger these woundings essentially within you, so you could become aware of them. Right? And so they're not being that underlying, that sneaky little underlying chord that's still kind of, that's still trying to guide your direction, that's still trying to, make sneaky little suggestions in your ear, like the devil whispering in your ear that you're not actually good enough, that you need to try really hard to prove yourself, or whatever it is. You're not actually going to get there, or all these people hate me, or, I have all these people against me, whatever it is, I'm just taking it how I'm receiving it. God, I swear. I swear, can't just do one of these videos without a beautiful "that's what she said" joke coming in. So we're moving on from that. So yeah, I'm just essentially expressing what I am hearing from spirit. However this is relevant for you, it's shown you some chords. You've been given the opportunity to see the underlying forces, the underlying karmas, right? The underlying themes and patterns that have kind of brought you to this space of, or this past year, brought you into a space of feeling like maybe despite your best of intentions, feeling like you are very deeply misunderstood, or feeling like you can't catch a fucking break, you know, for the life of you, or whatever it is. So it seems like you've done a lot of work to be where you are. And I am seeing that you have taken a lot of like introspecting. You've really taken this for what it was, these challenges for what they were, and you have come out on top, right? And so this has created such a beautiful, this has made such a beautiful foundation for these seeds and for more of your soul's blueprint to naturally arise. So whatever information you have been waiting for, I'm hearing will make itself very clear, you know, the right components, the right people, you know, the new venture. I'm filming this in winter, or is it fall? I guess technically we haven't, yeah, it's still fall time. So spring would be technically 2 seasons away. So depending on when you're seeing this, this doesn't necessarily have to mean spring. So it could also just mean 2 seasons from the time when you're watching this video, that a lot can transpire within that time. So for whatever reason you feel like you have like lost traction, or you're not where you think you should be, or, you know, whatever it is, you know, I'm hearing that phrase in the Bible, you will be restored to you the years that the locusts have eaten. The locusts in this case are, you know, that victim mentality, or, you know, maybe, which could have been well justified, right? There again, there's no judgment here. It's really important to just like see it for what it is. Victim mentality, doubt, you know, self-denial, self-punishment, whatever it is, right? You will be restored. So you will be brought up to speed with where you need to be. That is absolutely relevant for your natural unfolding. Again, coming back to the seasons. Everything has a season, and you cannot rush perfection, right? Our perfect little babies, you know, they come out perfect little babies and beautiful, however they're meant to, because there's that gestation period, right? And everything has its own unique gestation period. But I am seeing the work you've done, the internal work, the shadow work, man. You're probably feeling rebirth. And if you're not feeling rebirth quite yet, I feel like this new year, this is something that you're tying up. You know, I wouldn't be surprised that within, you know, again, 2 seasons from now, if you're watching this when I'm posting it, or if you're watching this during fall time, winter time, that, you know, this new year is really going to feel badass, man. You're going to feel like a new level. You're going to feel like the king or queen of your motherfucking kingdom. You know what I mean? So I hope this brought confirmation to you. I hope this was uplifting for you. Beautiful energies. I'm always blown away by the individuals that are drawn to these readings. So thank you for your service. Thank you for being here. I hope I see you soon. What is up, group number 2? Here is your divination session for which major themes are being wrapped up for you this year. I'm going to say right off the bat, if there was any inkling of you that was drawn to pile 1, and again, only do this if you were actually drawn to pile 1 as well, or the first crystal, I should say, then I'm already seeing that there is major similarities between these 2 groups. You know, I am seeing ultimately, I gotta make a shout out to those beings that are drawn to my channel, just because like I'm working with some incredible healers and beings that are like very advanced, very advanced. I mean, the first theme, the major theme that I'm seeing for you guys is there has been a significant amount of shadow work and self-acceptance, and being okay, being honest with where you're at, being honest with what you're working with, right? Not being afraid to meet yourself where you are. I'm also drawn to the fact that over half of these cards that have people on them, over half of them have their eyes closed. I just saw 111 on the clock. So there has been a significant amount of healing. You know, maybe you guys have been in extreme hermit mode for this past year. Again, depending on when you are drawn to this, you know, maybe in general, you have, even if you've been very active, or, you know, you try to maintain your social life, like you don't want to go too much into the realms of isolation. overall, I'm hearing that whatever you've been doing with other people too has created a powerful environment for a deep self-reflection. So I feel like this past year, man, it feels powerful. Like I feel like rebirth energy, Phoenix rising type of energy. So I feel like the areas of your life that this has really affected is your home life and just what makes you feel safe and how you are holding yourself and carrying yourself. You've really learned, and this past year, the theme that's wrapping up for you guys is doubting yourself, doubting your gifts, right? Doubting your challenges, or not your challenges, I'm sorry. Doubting your ability to thrive during challenging times and times when there's like great change on the planet, or, this next year or this past year, you have been given opportunities, I'm hearing, to see where you still doubt your ability to make the right decisions for yourself, right? And there's been a lot of beautiful opportunities, very catalytic type of events that have occurred this past year that have invited you to see yourself holistically. And ultimately, the reason why I'm feeling so powerful, I feel like, is directly linked to the fact that you are no longer shaming your shadow. So it feels like you guys have brought yourself to a point where you recognize that what is there to be? What? Why would I be ashamed of this? If it's an experience I'm having, then it's a relevant experience, right? It's the ego. It's the sneaky little ego. And I'm not an ego shamer, an ego basher. I understand it's absolutely necessary in order to be a vehicle for the divine when it's in surrender to that higher will. But when the ego is still in this operating from the idea that it needs to look a certain way, that success looks a certain way, that it needs to be presented and perceived by other people in a certain way, generally that's when we are left very disappointed. And, our degree of suffering, so the degree to which we are suffering in any moment is directly linked to the degree that we are attached to something. Right? So it seems like you guys have done so much this past year to really get clear. I mean, it's been a year of cultivation for you with this Hermit card and Hestia. Like, look at her holding that fire right in front of her heart, right? You guys have been in deep cultivation. I just feel so much power. You guys, this past year, you've recognized the power of silence. You've recognized the power of connecting with yourself, whether you're going out into nature, whether you are going for runs, whether you're meditating more, even if you're just meditating, even if you've just decided you're not on whatever type of regimen, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of you aren't like super regimented about it in a good way of like, I'm going to meditate at this time every day for this long, whatever. You have, whatever you've been doing this past year has absolutely cultivated this fire, man. And this is powerful. Like, I wish you guys could feel what I'm feeling now, but you probably do because I'm just explaining to you what you guys have cultivated this past year. You have cultivated so much fucking power, man. You are really learning that you are someone to trust. And in your silence, in your space, in your hermity modes, when you go on hikes alone, whatever you're doing, when you connect with your dogs, when you're taking space, no matter how long, right? When you're taking space to really find that connection with source, it's like, that's how you know you're someone you can trust, that you can actually trust yourself. There's been a lot of working with the shadow. There's been a lot of unveiling of what actually drives your tendencies, what actually drives your behavior. And again, not being shameful of it, but just being honest, right? Just being honest. And because of it, I feel like, you are entering a space, you are entering a period where you are going to reap those rewards, right? So this next year, it's so funny how these past two piles have laid out, because it's like most of the cards represent the energy you're in, and then it's like this last card on the very end is kind of what you're preparing yourself for, right? And I wouldn't even be surprised if you're already feeling, already reaping the growth from this and reaping your rewards. It's very clear that there is this past year, not to say it's always been easy for you, but you have really emerged. You have taken your challenges for what they are, and you have emerged even better, even more powerful. And, a major theme that's wrapping up for you is this belief that you're undeserving, right? Doesn't mean it's not going to still rear its sneaky little head as we continue to grow and expand and, have more success and be recognized by more people within our fields or whatever. It doesn't mean that's, the spiritual journey, which is a sneaky title for this, is what themes are coming to an end, because they can still be active, right? But it seems like the scales have tipped. My intention was, how have the scales tipped so this being by next year or entering this new year, how have the scales tipped to set them up to have the proper foundation to where these challenges and these karmic tendencies, these runoffs, these subconscious tendencies are no longer what is running them, right? So it seems like you've identified some significant chords within yourself, or you've met parts of yourself that you've might been avoiding, or maybe you've signed up for retreats, or you've signed up for seminars, you've been putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, internally and externally. And it's not necessarily uncomfortable like you're in any type of danger, but it's uncomfortable to your ego that got really comfortable with those old narratives, with those old stories that it attached to. So I feel like this, this next year, moving into, it's like you're going to have a new level of trusting yourself, because you see that you are meeting more of the God within, and you're making more space. You've really given yourself permission to go into isolation when you need to, and to really meet God, right? And God has soft whispers, right? They say that prayer is when we have the opportunity to speak to God, and meditation is when God has the opportunity to speak to us. It seems like this past year, you've really given Spirit the opportunity to really rewire you. Because also when we're in a space of meditation, it makes way for Source to come through and to rewire us on a very deep cellular level. And sometimes we don't always see the instant rewards of that, but I feel like you guys have been chipping away at this, not just this past year, but probably for many years. You've been chipping away. And so I feel like you're the type of being that just is feeling brighter and brighter and lighter and lighter. And so moving into this next year, and I'm sure you're already receiving reflections and evidence of how much you've already done. You're a powerful being. I'ma just say it. And there's a lot of people, I feel like this is necessary for you to hear. There are a lot of people that are in awe of how you've navigated your challenges and of what you've done. So, whatever you guys are doing in your community, or whatever you're guided, however you're guided to show up, I'm hearing that these are like, what is it called? Like freedom fighters, or just like spirit warriors. Like, you guys are warriors. You guys know what's up. High level beings, man. High level beings. And so the areas of your life that have been deeply affected, I feel like, again, is just what you feel like you're worthy of. The people that you let into your hearth and that you let into your home. The beings that I feel like it's a rewiring of what you actually believe in your bones you can accomplish. And I'm not surprised that there's a lot of indication that you've been going into meditation quite a bit, or that, on your runs, you probably get deep downloads, or when you're lifting or whatever, when you're doing things that are kind of like, again, uncomfortable for the body, or for, your old belief systems. Generally on the other side, or even sometimes within that, when we don't give up and when we don't give in to, those old narratives, generally is when we're receiving the most accurate reflections of who it is that we came here to be, right? Whether that is, speaking on stage in front of people, or just like hosting retreats, or even if you're just working one-on-one with people, even if you're, teaching kids, take this how it resonates. Maybe you might even be a stay-at-home parent, and, this is about just you taking charge of your family and what's right for your kids, and, understanding. I feel like you really are at a place where you see that you can trust yourself, man. And that is someone you don't want to fuck with. Like, someone that so deeply trusts themselves, and that only answers to God, to the gods themselves, right? That's the most dangerous person, but that's also the type of person that inspires the most Those are the type of people that create the most lasting and revolutionary change, are those beings that don't look without to get their direction. They don't look without to get confirmation, right? They go to the one and only source that matters the most in order to determine their actions, their behaviors, where they're going to go next, how they're going to conduct themselves, what elements are going to stay in their life, what elements need to be updated, upgraded, enhanced, or brought in, and what needs to fall away, right? You guys have touched God within. And that's a powerful place. That's a powerful space. That is a powerful person. That is a powerful entity, because there's less of the ego, right? You're really seeing, I feel like you're getting direct reflections of what happens with shadow work. It's just making space, right? You're just clearing the debris. You're just emptying the trash. You're taking out the trash, so to speak. And you're making space for the divine to do the work for you. You are seeing firsthand what it means to be an instrument of the divine. And so this past year, you've probably gotten a lot of contrast of, how it feels when you're so caught up in results and things that need to make sense, and, acting in ways that the ego can understand, or, that's comfortable. That's something that, like an energy that we're used to, I should say, versus when you make space and you're like, I'm here. I'm just along for the ride. And it seems like this past year, man, you're at a point of no return is what I'm feeling. You've really are relinquishing a lot. You're saying you're tying up a lot of your old stories, a lot of the past patterns, behaviors, and paradigms. You're really stepping into something extremely bright, man. And I'm excited for you guys. I'm truly, genuinely excited. Want to finish up, there's 3 cards here that indicate to me something about the heart chakra, the heart space. So I'm seeing you are the bridge. You are the rainbow bridge. The heart chakra represents the bridge between heaven and earth. The heart chakra represents grounding our spiritual ideals, or our divine ideals, onto the earth plane. It also could just be grounding divine energy onto the earth plane in general. And so that's something that you have done. That's something that your guides deeply commend you for. You guys know what the fuck is up, and powerful. I could soak in this energy all day. But yeah, great things to come. Great things to come. It only gets better from here. And even to the point where even when life goes like this, you are beyond it. Right? You're starting to sit more and more in that space of transcendence, to where nothing touches you, because where true happiness comes from. Where true bliss comes from. It's as that phrase, do not lay thy treasures up where moth and dust doth corrupt. It's really, you guys are really seeing what it means to, you're really seeing, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all else will be added unto you. Yeah. Wow. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning into this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your service. Thank you for just, the beautiful, this path that you've been on and making space for. Thank you. Go ahead and leave me a comment if this resonated, or, give it a thumbs up, whatever, exchanging energy in that way if it resonates with you. And I hope I see you guys soon.